the satisfying crunch of it. But you can do it however you want. That's the joy of this kit. Pretty solid. And you might be thinking, wow, Emma, that doesn't look very good. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of terrazzo pot making. Those of you on Instagram have probably seen this pot I have right here. This is a terrazzo pot I made during lockdown with the help of a kit from Salt Studios. Salt Studios is a woman-owned, small London-based business that makes unique homewares and jewelry and has workshops on how to make terrazzo pots. But since COVID happened and they had to cancel all their workshops, the owner, Francesca, started making these make-your-own terrazzo pot kits for your home. So I got one and I really enjoyed making it. It was so much fun. People on Instagram seemed to really like it and were curious about how I made it. So I reached out to Salt Studios and they very kindly gifted me another terrazzo pot making at-home kit that I'm going to do with you today and show you how I made this little beauty. So in the terrazzo plant pot workshop kit, you get nearly everything you need to make your very own terrazzo pot. You get all the jesmonite and pigments and sandpaper and molds and sticks and stuff all in the kit. There's only a couple things that you'll need from your own home, and that is a measuring scale, some scissors, and a bucket that I will pull out later, as well as protective gloves if you fancy protecting your hands. So the good thing about these kits is not only do you get step-by-step instructions on how to do everything on paper, there's also like an online workshop space where Francesca has made a video that you can follow along with, and you get access to that, as well as color mixing tutorials, loads of other resources on how to make fun terrazzo pots on their online workshop space, which you get the password to and everything in your little form. This kit is 45 pounds, which may seem a little bit expensive, but for a full afternoon of workshop making fun, I think it's pretty good. Also, it would cost much more to go out to a workshop and do it, and in the end, you come away with a beautiful pot that you made yourself. So I think it's definitely worth it. I mean, I bought one for myself at the beginning, and I had a really good time making it, so I think it's totally worth the price for what it is. And I will make sure to put links down below to the Salt Studios website and where you can get this kit and everything. So if you do want it and you want to go along with me and make a terrazzo pot with me, go down to the description box below and get a kit. You can make a pot along with me. Cool, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is make the chips that go inside of the terrazzo pot. So first things first, you wanna get one of the small paper cups, put it on your scale and tear your scale, meaning making your scale go back down to 0 so you're not including the weight of the cup in the measurement you're making. You want to measure out your polymer liquid here. Then we're gonna do pigments. So this time, instead of green and black, I was thinking about doing kind of a light peachy, pinky color in addition to the black and the white. So I'm gonna use the small sticks, dip them in the colors, and put them onto the larger stick in order to get the right ratios, if that makes sense. So when you're adding pigments, it's really important not to go over 2 grams of pigments, because that will mess up the ratios of the jesmonite and it might not set properly, which is something we definitely don't want. Yes, I think this is the color I was going for. So once you have the color you like, you're gonna add some jesmonite powder to that in order to make it solidify. But here we have to work fast because you only have 10 minutes of mixing time before it starts to solidify, so you really need to go speedily in this part. And then we're gonna mix everything together with a clean stick. Again, trying to work fairly fast and trying not to spill as much as I freaking did. and you want to mix until it gets quite smooth. And then you want to take one of your plastic sheets that they give you, and you want to, from a height, pour this out with your stick. You want to go through and kind of make it one big thin layer. Probably about 1 to 2 mil. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it aside and then do my second color, repeating the process. So I'm very sorry if you can hear the fan. It is 32 degrees today and it's really hot, so I needed something. Cool, second sheet of plastic, and we are going to pour this from a height. And then we're gonna do the same again and kind of spread it out, going away from the center. So now that I've done this one, we need to wait for 20 to 30 minutes until both of these are dry and we can crackle them up into chips. So see you in 20 to 30 minutes. I'm back. So it has been half an hour and I'm just gonna go through and start crumpling the terrazzo sheets. As you can see, it is nice and solid now. There's no bend in it. I've already chipped off a piece. And basically I'm going to crush these up into small pieces so you're getting little chips, and I'm gonna mix them together. Crushing in towards the middle. I want to try and keep them as contained as possible. This part is so satisfying. Like, if you like breaking stuff, it just feels so good. The satisfying crunch of it. You want to break them up into reasonable sized pieces. You can kind of make them as big as you want. I wouldn't suggest making them quite like 4 centimeters big. I'd suggest making them a bit smaller than that. So probably about 1 centimeter. It's really up to you how big you want them. Cool. So those are the black ones there. Now let's do the beautiful peachy pink ones. These came out a nice color. It's a bit orangier than I was looking for, but that's okay. I still really like it. So now I'm just going to mix them together like this. Because it's a little bit more orange, this looks a little bit Halloween-y. Not my intention, but hopefully once the white pot is in there, it looks slightly less Halloween-y. So now we are going to make the base color of the pot the majority of the planter. And again, I'm gonna make it white so it kind of matches with my other one. Yeah, so we get the large mixing beaker, TERRAZZO, so it doesn't weigh the beaker. You add your liquid. I love this kit because they give you just the right amount. They give you what you need. There's no waste in this. You're not wasting any product. They give you everything that you need. Obviously the liquid is already white, but I like to add a little bit more white in here as well, just to give it that little extra pop of white, because I want it to be fairly bright white. But of course, you could make your base any color you want. It's up to you. A lot of the Salt Studio pots that you can find in shops and stuff, they're like a bright color base with white chips instead of white base with color chips. So really the answer is you make it what style you want it to be. If you want it to be all colors and no white, fine, you make it with all colors and no white. I like making it white with a little bit of colors because that's my aesthetic, but you can do it however you want. That's the joy of this kit. You can make essentially whatever you want to make. Now we're going to tear this and then add pretty much the rest of this powder in this. And again, we have to work fairly fast before it starts to dry. I shouldn't have done arm day at the gym this morning. My arms are tired. Oh, I'm gonna have to sand this. Oh, my arms are gonna die. So now you have a nice, smooth, creamy consistency. Add your terrazzo chips. So I found it was easiest to kind of lift it up like that and pour them into the mix like this. And I mean, you don't have to add all of them, but why not? and you want to mix it in so they're kind of even within the mixture. Again, working fast. There we go. Okay, now you take your mold here, and you want to pour from a little bit of a height, about like a third of your mixture in, and you want to go in pressing this down, making sure you're getting chips all the way down in there. And you want to kind of like jiggle it a bit and tap it. I find doing this as you go helpful because it gets the air bubbles out as you're going along. There we go. So jiggly. Jiggly, 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 jiggly. So now that my mold is completely filled up to the top, I'm gonna leave this to sit for like 20 minutes, half an hour again, and we'll take it out. So we're back. It's been 20 minutes, and this, pretty solid. One of my favorite things about Jesmonite is that it is actually an exothermic reaction, so the plaster gets like kind of hot to the touch. It's quite warm, and I like the feeling of warmth, which is good. So now we're gonna take our scissors and cut it out of the mold. So the best way to do this, like it says in the directions, is to cut 4 cuts, 1 on each side, like this, just kind of to the base of where the pot starts. So I've cut all 4 sides. So now I'm going to carefully cut round the whole thing. It is a bit messy. The dry Jesmonite is going to get everywhere. But now we want to carefully take out the inner plastic here. You want to try not to break it, and you don't want to cut it, because eventually this will be the lining of the pot to make it like fully waterproof. It's going to be like vacuum suctioned into it because that's how molds work. So it's going to be a little bit hard to get the initial bit of air under there. You can see I'm just peeling back the edges, kind of sticking with them in there. There we go. Now we get to cut off the outside. I found using an X-Acto knife is much easier to do this part, just to get a nice straight line on here. So now I have my pot. And you might be thinking, wow, Emma, that doesn't look very good. It's got like kind of rough edges all around. You really can't see the terrazzo. Like, what? So basically we're gonna sand off the top layer of the Jesmonite here. And you wanna do that so eventually you'll be able to see the chips like this. Let's get ready to do that. So I've moved you inwards a bit because I'm sitting down. I have prepared a nice bucket of water because we are going to need that in order to sand the pot down properly. So first you want to sand with your 120 grit paper. It should say it on the back, but it's also the roughest one. This is what you're going to use to really get down a layer so the terrazzo chips are showing, as well as getting all this kind of grossness off of the edges and stuff. And I found that it takes for frickin' ever, so I'm gonna watch some television while I sand it. Gonna dip my sandpaper in the water, get it nice and wet, and then start sanding down any rough edges. So I've sanded down this edge right here first, and now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start to expose the terrazzo chips on the side with just a nice gentle circular motion and get them really to pop. So once you've sanded it down to a point where you like what it looks like, where the chips are nice and exposed, you want to go in with your 240 sandpaper and then finally your 600 sandpaper in order to get it like really nice and smooth. So now that my pot is sanded to my smoothness liking. I'm going to let it dry out totally for like half an hour, just because you want it to be totally dry when you put the acrylic sealant on. Now that it's dry, I'm just gonna put the sealant on with the little brush that was provided and we'll be done. Cool. I am going to let this dry for 10 minutes and then we will finish off the project. In the meantime, I am going to give this a little wash and trim it down so that it fits nicely into the pot there. I'm just gonna chop off this kind of funky edge and cut it just below, maybe like 1/2 centimeter or 1/4 inch below the top, and make it look like a nice little insert to make the pot like entirely watertight. Make sure when I'm watering my plants that it doesn't get everywhere. Fabulous. So now that this is dry, I'm just gonna take my little Salt Studios insert and fit it right in. It'll be fairly snug because obviously it was what was used to mold the pot, but it just fits perfectly in there. So now I can take my plant and plop it straight in there, and voila, we have a beautiful new terrazzo planter to go with my flat. And I think, honestly, it looks so nice with this one as well. They just kind of match really nicely. I know the pink didn't turn out as pink as I wanted. It's kind of an orange color now, but I still think that they look really lovely together. So I'm really chuffed with this. So that's it. That's how I made this beautiful terrazzo planter. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really had a good time making this. It was a lot of hard work and sanding is so difficult, but it was really fun. I hope that you get a kit from Salt Studios. Honestly, it's amazing. It's just so nice to have a kit and then you have everything you need to get it done and make it look really good. It's just easier. So yeah, go get yourself a kit and follow along with me again and make one of these for yourself. If you do, I would really love to see it. So send me a message over on Instagram, tag me in your stories showing me your beautiful new terrazzo pots. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!